This is Emanuel with RPGamer, and I'm sitting here with...
My name is Tomasz. I'm an executive producer at CA Games working on Lords of the Fallen.
Okay, great. So, how's your E3 going so far?
Busy, good. We're really happy with the reception.
Great.
So I can only say that, yes, all right, it's
Fantastic.
good.
So, for those people who may not be familiar with Lords of the Fallen, can you give me a quick little rundown?
Yeah, it's an action RPG. That means that you can expect both the side of the game that is focused around story and the side of the game that is focused around combat. We try to make sure that one of them is more prominent because the game has to be about something, not about everything.
Right.
And that's why it's primarily an action game, primarily about combat, character development, and the gear, the skills, the magic, the spells, and all that. And generally, it's a game that we really truly believe that can be very, very challenging, but we try to make sure that it's not going to be a game that closes down the target very, very narrow. We try to make it a little bit more accessible than a lot of challenging games out there.
I saw your presentation last year, and I remember someone in the audience said, it seems a little bit like Dark Souls meets Tekken meets Borderlands. That still kind of hold true?
Yeah, it is true. I mean, you need to probably explain which one of these references mean. I mean, probably Souls is the one that is obvious, so we're probably not. We don't need to go too much over that one. But if you speak about Tekken, it's more about. I believe that Tekken is an extremely tactical game, but it's probably way faster than Souls or any other like very strategical, slow-paced game. So I think we're more on that way. And if it comes to Borderlands, we do have spells that are similarly staged than what we believe the skill tree of Borderlands is, like, because they're skill-based. It's class-based.
And each class has like a unique ability that they tap into.
Yes, it's actually a couple spells. Not one, not 20, but a couple spells that you have. And you can unlock and upgrade them.
And I understand that the classes are not really based on like something you pick at the beginning of the game, but as you switch weapons, you become that class?
No, you actually do choose. It's the whole character development element of the game bases on 3 pillars, on 3 features. One of them are spells or the spell tree, and this is the only thing that you lock down when you choose the class at the beginning. So a warrior will be using damage boosting spells, the cleric will be using regenerative spells, right? The rogue will be using quick stealth assassination kind of spells, and there are 3 classes of magic that you choose at the beginning. The attributes, the statistics of your character, these are class independent. We have, I think, 6 attributes of the character: strength, agility, and all that, and you can upgrade them independently of the class, and also the gear, which is all the armors, all the shields, all the weapons, and you can mix and match. You're not bound to a certain type of weapon. If you feel daggers are roguish or a huge hammer is warrior-ish, then you can try both. You're not bound to.
Yeah, my data is a little outdated, but I'm kind of catching up now.
A little bit of things have been tweaked since past T3, so I don't blame you.
Okay, great. So I remember it's each enemy is like a substantial enemy, and so you have to approach each one in a very tactical, slow manner. So it's not like maybe throwing 100 guys at you. But
no. Definitely, most of the fights are going to be one-on-one. We're aiming at that. We're open about it, and I think this is where we could actually provide the most fun in this game.
Right. So how have you gone about making those enemies fun and challenging, one after another?
It's definitely about learning, about trying to make sure that if most fun that we're trying to provide to people is fighting one-on-one, that each enemy can't have 2 attacks, that he's just going to be swapping or randomizing. No, it's more of like 5 or 10, and boss is even more complicated. But it's important that you try to see through them, learn them, and then you actually have a lot of fun, because after an hour or 2 hours of game, the enemies that you've met at the very beginning of the trash mobs or whatever we call them, you will be easily able to see through them. You will almost have a muscle memory of how to defeat them. I believe it's going to be very cool, and it's going to feel very rewarding for the players, because our goal is to provide the feeling of being rewarded in a game. And the other thing is, since it's primarily one-on-one, whenever you meet 2 or even 3 sometimes enemies, it also depends on your strategical sort of planning of fights. You might be able to run into 3 guys if you just, run around with them. And that will actually purposely be a spike in difficulty, because, you sort of can't plan that. But if you want to do it, hey, if you feel cocky, go on.
That's very, it's interesting. A lot of other RPGs maybe throw you a super powerful guy or maybe a 300-foot guy, but here, 3 guys, I need to watch out.
Yeah, it is a strategical game, I could say that.
Great. So how would the cleric take on a situation a little bit more differently than a warrior would, for example?
Well, I think that the main difference lies in the spells, because this is what very strongly differentiates the experience when you choose a different class. But apart from that, you can use any other gear. So you could technically be a battle mage because you're using a clerical kind of regenerative spells, but at the same time you are using, for example, a heavy gear that is more, a lot of people associated with warrior kind of class. So primarily what is going to be different is that when you're fighting a cleric-based class or cleric-based character, so to say. I don't know if we have like orthodox kind of classes, that's why. Let's say it's a character based on cleric sort of archetype. And that means that you will be using spells that are meant for you to last longer in a battle. Gotcha. Like, you know, you will be able to run around, regenerate your health and stuff like that. While if you're going to be fighting rogue-based character, as I said, for example, your probably primary goal, and we believe this is going to be the manifestation of the playstyle as the player has, is going to be to make fights as short as possible and as effective as possible, with disappearing for a few seconds, dealing critical strike, and bam, guy's dead. And if you're a warrior, you want to get in. You're a brawler. You can get a hit. If you can take a hit, but you're going to deal a lot of damage. So maybe maybe warrior will be the guy who wants to take 2 or 3 guys at a time. Maybe.
Gotcha. And then the cleric's going to be maybe just taking up that damage, looking up like a tank.
Yeah.
Great,
You get the idea.
You got a lot of flexibility there. Got it. So, how would you say the structure of what's the structure of the game? Is it like a little bit more of a linear affair? Is it
the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do not want to cheat to anybody that it's an open world game. Nope, we're not after that one. But there's a certain level of non-linearity. The level, for example, that we're showing hands-on today, hopefully you guys will get a chance to play it.
Looking forward to it.
Please do. Is actually something that you can get to quite early on in the game, after an hour or 2, depending how fast you get there. You can actually enter the catacombs quite early on in the game, but only around a half of the game is the moment where you're supposed to get there and defeat the boss to progress the storyline further. And this part of the game is balanced at around half of the game. So if you get there earlier, it's going to be extremely challenging for you, but there will be guys who do it. And I actually tried it a couple days ago just for fun, and it felt really fun. I had to try it a few times, but I did it, and it was extremely rewarding. So, you know, it's doable, but it's for, let's say, guys who are like way higher stacked challenge than a lot of other people. So certain level of non-linearity, but I think where the most non-linearity in this game is definitely going to be the gameplay and character customization, but not in terms of the physique, because that's Harkin, that's our guy, and this game is about him, but more about, you know, the gear that you're using and the building of the character, so to say. So yeah, generally storyline and exploration wise, this game is going to be not very linear, because we have some branching in the storyline, and we will have more than one ending, but it's not going to be an open world game. And I would not like anybody to expect that, because they would feel like we failed, and we were not after that.
I do like, because of the tactical nature and your skill as a player, that lets you go further than you would have maybe otherwise.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about our main character here?
Yeah. There's a whole legend that we sort of crafted for this game, because we wanted to make sure it's not a game that bases off of any franchise. So we actually came up with a whole idea on it ourselves, and the whole legend tells a story. The legend has it that a couple thousand years ago, people had to fight, for whatever reasons it's going to be told in the game. They had to fight a god. They defeated him, and quite an achievement. They defeated the god and his demonic army, and because of that, they believe that they can actually do very huge and epic things, and they believe, for example, that they can completely eradicate evil from human nature. Whether that's reasonable or not, we're probably not going to argue here.
I'm sure we'll see.
But okay, it's a fantasy world, right? And it's important to assume that, because a lot of the things that happen in the game based on that assumption. So people have assumed that. And they went as far even as to create a codex of the most deadly sins. And because they don't want to kill people who commit sins that's evil, right? Consistent, they don't want to do it. So they just brand them. They just brand them forever. They become outcasts for the entire lifetime, and everybody knows that these are the ones not to stick with. And when the game starts, around the time when the game starts, the demons, the Rogar as we call them, the demonic army of the fallen gods, started to reappear, and nobody knows why. And it's only natural for humans, as I've described them to you, that the guys who believe evil can be cast away, to think, okay, we don't want to fight these demons. They're the worst. Let's send our worst against these guys. And they find human who committed the most sins, the most deadly ones, and that's Harkin. That's our hero. He's a guy who has really bad past, and we're not trying to cheat to anybody. He's not a good person. He's committed a lot of bad stuff, and he's gonna be, he's probably never gonna have family, friends. So, but what is important about him? He's predestined and capable to stand against what is ahead of him, the demonic army, and that's why humanity have decided to send him, and that's actually the get-go of this game.
Great. And based on your choices in the story,
yeah,
multiple
it might the outcome might be different. You actually have to go through the whole journey of Harkin throughout this game, find out what demons are after, find out what humans are after, have a perspective on both sides. It's very important, and then you can. I don't want to spoil it to you.
No.
You can
please
go
don't.
towards the ending of the game, and then the outcome might be different depending on what decisions you make, because it's not going to be a simple decision. Like in any decent RPG, we believe.
Great. Awesome. So, what platforms? When are you coming? I know the obvious question.
Sure. That's fall this year. We definitely want to be a game. We don't want to be one of these games that slips to 2015.
Like
so
every other game?
Yes. and we do want to release this game. So
Great.
it is fall this year, definitely. And it's PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
Great. So next gen only then?
Definitely. Well, PC is always next gen. It's current,
Always.
and next gen is
Number one console.
Yes, but this is these three platforms.
Great. Well, that was a great rundown of the Lords of the Fallen. We look forward to checking it out. Thank you
Thanks
for
a
your
lot.
time. I appreciate it.
Thanks.